Hi to my beautiful Cancer family. Well, I'm a Taurus, but to all the Cancers that are here, that are becoming part of my family, joining me for this session, even if you're just a visitor. Please hit the share, like, and subscribe button, especially if you find value in this reading. This reading is going to be for the end of September. It's going to give some insights as to the energies that you were dealing with in September. So when you are listening to what's being said in the reading, remember that what I'm talking about in the past is behind this date, whether it's a day, a week, a month, a year. So it's about understanding the underlying energy behind the lessons, why you've been going through whatever you've been going through, whether that's good or bad, and then, or to you, it's individual. And then going forward, now, for whatever reason, I was kind of held up with the last 4 signs that I was doing. I started these towards the beginning of the month, and there was just some hold up on the energy with the Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, and Leos. So kind of getting into that beginning of October. So I'm going to ask, just because when we start all of the rest, we're a little bit behind on you guys. So I'm going to see if we can get a little bit more information as to this energy kind of moving forward into October for you. Having said all of that, if you have never seen any of my readings before, I do pray. If you are not Christian, you don't like the what they call the Lord's Prayer, please feel free to pause the video, skip ahead, say your own words or prayer of protection. God does not have a religion. That's for us. It's for our benefit. It is for benefit, but it's for us. So if this does not resonate with you, but the reading might, feel free, as I said, to skip ahead, say your own words. There are some beautiful Wiccan prayers. I've heard some beautiful Sophie prayers. I've heard some, just, again, whatever you need to do to protect yourself. Our reading is a doorway. Like any other tool that you use to connect to the divine, prayer is the safest, in my opinion, because it's a direct line. You're asking for a direct line to the divinity, whether you see it as masculine or feminine. On a quantum physics level, it is the energy in which we all reside. So it's all interconnected. But having said that, I'm going to go ahead and start the prayer, because for some reason I'm like being pulled into this already, and I like to pray before I do that. So, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the power and the kingdom and the glory forever and ever. Heavenly Father, please remove any negative thoughts, energies, and entities from my space, my home, my domain, myself. Please allow me to be an empty vessel, Heavenly Father, so that I might receive your messages clearly and truly, and so that I might share the highest truth for the most benefit with anyone watching this video. I say this in the name of Jesus Christ, amen. Oh, Heavenly Father, please send your heavenly angels to surround and protect me and my home, and to surround and protect anyone who is watching this with me. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. Alright. So, now that I said that, there seems to be a general feeling of like a need for protection. I'm not sure what that's about yet. So Cancers, I will say there's so many quote unquote doorways. People get really hung up about tarot readings In fact, I used to. That's actually that's why I was made to do these. I used to be very judgmental, used to get very hung up about it and very scared. And what I was told by God was that, and it was part of my training in protection every time. And it was explained to me that it is, for a lot of different reasons, some having to do with the symbology, but for the most part, just because you're asking for an answer from a non-corporate being, right? And there are non-corporal, if that's the right word, non-corporal beings. In other words, conscious energies that can actually direct their energy, just like us humans can, that are on a different wavelength, so they're not necessarily visible to the human eye. Just like dogs can see things that humans can't, they can hear better than we can. It's just about what our sensory perception can pick up. So unless you are directing that energy strictly to a specific being and protecting your energy while you do so, it opens doors. Having said that, I don't think the lesson is about someone reading tarot. Hopefully anyone in the tarot world has already been trained in using protection. I get the feeling this is more about it's more a word of caution, like and they want me to kind of give you a lesson. It's like a, this is a small piece of what I would teach if I was teaching a lesson about protecting yourself when you're doing stuff. Okay? Now, when it comes to protection, there's a whole host of things. Don't do spell work that breaks free will. Be careful what spell you do. Don't do things in languages you don't understand. Yada, yada, yada. However, most people don't think of the fact that we walk around all day open. So, okay. So this is it's kind of a reminder to know yourself very well. Right now we're going through a really rough time when it comes to the astrological energies. So not all negative things are necessarily picked up by or from D's or and that's just a name for a specific group of species that are not kind to humans. There's so much that goes into that. Different cultures have different use that term for different non-corporal beings. But we can pick up energies that are not good for us, that are not good for our aura, not good for ourselves, almost like a curse. Except it's not really a curse, we can shake it off, right? It didn't have intent. But we can pick up negative energies from around us. If we don't know ourselves really well, we can kind of take those thoughts on as our own. And the next thing we know, we're grumpy. So this is definitely for some empathic Cancer out there. The next thing we know, we're grumpy with no reason, with no whatever. Well, the same kind of thing that you would do to protect yourself when you're doing a reading can be done to protect yourself under those circumstances. A simple prayer, words of intent, making sure that you setting your energy field boundary. If you think of your energy field, your aura, as an extension, just like your hand is, just like your arm is, we may not see it physically. I mean, there are some people that do, just like some people can hear better than other people, some people can smell better than other people, some people can see the aura to some degree or another. I have had instances of being blessed with being able to see someone's aura fully, but most of the time it's just a wave, like a general wave to me. But my point is that you can actually, just like you can with practice, control other, what we normally consider automatic or unconscious things like breathing. We do it unconsciously all day long. But when you meditate, you control your breathing, right? If you learn to control your breathing enough, you can bring your heart rate down. You can reduce your anxiety. You can reduce your stress. All things that most people consider beyond our normal control. But when we learn to control them, we learn to control them. Working with your aura, your energy field, if you're getting a lot of bombardment from other people, if you're picking up energies from other people, if it's making you uncomfortable, is the same way. And doing so leaves you less susceptible to other forms of, well, it leaves you less susceptible to malicious attacks too, but it leaves you less susceptible to unknowing, randomly chaotic, thrown out there energy that isn't yours. So the true rules are two first steps. Know thyself. Know if those thoughts are your own. If they aren't, just if you in your head, you don't have to look like a crazy woman talking outside, or a crazy man talking outside to people. You can literally just say in your head, not my thought. If it is an entity or being trying to send that thought, whether human or otherwise, not my thought. Stop. Get out of my space. You have no business here. No right. If you didn't set an intention to ask something or talk to them, they have no business there. And if it is not intentionally sent, and it's still not your thought, it's you're just picking up on other people's thoughts, other people's emotions. And again, this is not going to be for everybody. This is I'm feeling I'm picking up on like a specific empathic Cancer that's kind of struggling with some chaotic energy right now. So if it's not your thought and you're picking up that chaos, just, if you know yourself, you can ask yourself questions like, am I really angry? What am I angry about? And this is extremely helpful, and I'm getting the impression this is like part of what's going on for somebody. So this becomes extremely helpful if you have a significant other, a partner, or a child, or a boss, coworker, somebody that you are engaging with. And if you're engaging with them and it's not a pleasant engagement, sometimes you will pick up on their anger, their energy, their thought, which makes it hard for you to control yourself, hard for you to think clearly and speak your truth that you need to speak clear enough to be heard, because you're being bombarded by someone else's energy, by someone else's thoughts. When I have felt overwhelmed like that, what I teach is to go within, which simply means take a 3-second breath. Doesn't matter what they're saying, and this doesn't mean bad communication. Listen to what they're saying, but when they're finished, take a 3-second breath. And if anyone in my life is watching this, yes, I have failed at this before in the past. It has taken practice. I still practice. But as I've gotten better about it, it helps. And so I teach this, okay? And I'm actually, I would say, pretty decent at it now. And the difference that I will find is amazing. So you take about a 3-second breath and you just ask yourself, am I as angry as I feel? Is whatever they said or did enough in my actual thought process to warrant the emotions I feel? If it is not, then again, you can push that away. Just deep breath in, blow it out, recognize that you're feeling it, but that it's not yours, and then let go. It's that simple. Just let go. Now, if you get into situations like that and you're having a lot of trouble and you're struggling very hard to maintain your own thought process, maintain your own emotions, because you're being bombarded by somebody else's, there's a physiological trick, and a very wise old woman taught me this when she recognized my gifts, my empathic ability, and intuitiveness. I was probably about 12, and we were walking through the mall. They happened to have a psychic fair there. And I remember this day. The woman had dolphin cards on her table. I did not get a reading with her. My mother had paid for a reading with somebody else. And so I had some little, I think it was the first time I had learned about chakras. And I had a chakra reading done using my palms, the chakra points on the palms. And it was interesting. It piqued my interest. But there was the woman who had the dolphin cards. Her prices were higher, so I didn't get I wasn't. That was not the gift I got. But as I was walking past her, she stopped me, and my mom was off at a corner looking at something else, and I was really embarrassed because it's not a gift I talked about at the time or wanted anyone to know about. And she stopped me and she said, You're like me, right? And I kind of said, I don't know. Well, I'll shorten this, okay? So she called me out on it. And then she taught me one of the most valuable lessons I have ever had in my life. So because I feel like someone is struggling with this, I'm going to share that embarrassing story and this. So what she taught me was that when you are pulling other people's information, other people's energy, or when it's being pushed on you and you don't mean to, and this can also be used when you're the one that's angry and you don't want to spill that over onto your kids. You don't want to say the wrong thing. You don't want to lash out. You want to calm yourself down. What you're doing is you're basically closing off your chakra centers. Now you can't see my ankles, and it doesn't really matter much whether you cross the right or over the left or the left over the right. But you're going to cross your ankles if this is your feet, literally at the ankle. And just calmly cross them. You can put your feet in all kinds of different positions, doesn't matter, as long as your ankles are crossed one on top of the other. And then to finish closing off that energetic loop of energy that runs through us and around us, you're going to put each of your fingertips just like this, one on top of the other. That is the best way to do it. If you absolutely feel like you're going to look ridiculous, say you're nervous in an interview and you need to pull your energy and you don't want to be, let everybody know, you can do something like this. This will still work. It will not have as much of an effect. You can also close off the main chakras here in your hands. But if you're getting other people's energy and anger pushed at you and you're getting really antsy about it, the best way to close it off is make sure all the fingertips are touching. Because not only do we have blood vessels that run all the way through our body, we also have a network of energy fields, a pathway of energy fields. That's what the chakras are. Chakras actually spin in one direction in the front, one direction in the back. And it's too much of a lesson. I mean, there's charts behind me. It's too much to go into. But just like the nerve endings, just like we have hundreds and hundreds of nerve endings in our fingers, it's why we're so sensitive to heat, to tactile touch. We also have the same thing that happens with the energy fields. We have chakras, all of the chakra centers connect to the fingertips. When you close off main chakras, and when you do this, you're actually also connecting the two in the palms, two main chakras in the palms. When you do this, you're closing the circuit. And I don't understand 100% what that means because I'm not an electrician, so if there's an electrician out there, please comment below for the rest of us what closing the circuit means. But I understand in principle what they're showing me. It's basically the difference between when we're open and we're flowing, our energy is flowing out to people around us. When we're in a good mood, that's a wonderful thing. When we're uplifting people, that's a wonderful thing. When people are uplifting us, it's wonderful that their energy is flowing towards us as well. When we're closing the circuit, we're literally closing off our auric center. We're pulling it in a little bit, and we are reducing, if not completely eliminating, the connection with whatever energy is directly connected to us. That doesn't mean that we're going to be unconnected from our kids in terms of etheric cords, and those are whole other lessons, or anybody else that we love. But if you know about the etheric cords that connect us to people that we care about, and you're worried about that, it does not shut those down. It does just close off your aura. And I shouldn't say it doesn't shut them down. It will close them off. Because you can have, that's part of what's being shut down, is any energy flow in and out when it happens. But the minute it's not like cutting cords. The minute you open your hands, the minute you relax, the minute the argument or whatever's done and over with, or the chaotic energy, even a party, sometimes parties can be overwhelming for an empath. The mall can sometimes be overwhelming for an empath. So as soon as that's done and you open back up again, those cords are still there, those connections to family are still there, you're going to be fine. It's just a way of making sure that it kind of encapsulates your aura when you need that little extra boost of protection. I'm not sure who that's for. I'm not sure why they had me get so long-winded into some lesson, but for whatever it's worth, definitely get the impression of more than one cancer, because it was not I didn't get like one specific instance that was intense. It was more like watching a group of empathic cancers doing different things. So I'm gonna get into what we all came for, which was the actual reading itself. Although that's part of it, I definitely am getting the feeling that there has been a few moments of stress in the life of some of my cancers here, and most definitely someone needed that for something that's upcoming. So we're gonna find out what that is. I am using Wisdom of the Hidden Realms by Colette Baron Reed. And it's kind of funny. And mostly I'm just babbling while I shuffle and wait for them to tell me whatever they're going to tell me, because I have no idea where this is going right now. I just know I was guided to do all of the astrological signs, so I'm doing as I'm asked. I thought that when I first started this, I thought, there's going to be a theme of the layout throughout all. I'm going to have, I'm going to find myself, my groove, and figure out how I'm doing. Nope. Every one of them has been different. All right. We have Hungry Ghost. Obsessions, scarcity, conscious attachment. Consciousness and attachment. Number 14. So this is the card for your overall energy for what's going to be the tail end of September. Adamant about this new deck. Okay. So we're going to read that. Number 14. When the hungry ghosts appear on your path, they may not at first seem like allies because they represent your constant focus on the past and consuming desire to know the future, which rob you of your true present. But in fact, they are here in the service of alerting you to obsessive thinking and addictions. They're masters at magnifying repetitive behaviors. The message is for you to examine whether you're doing the same thing over and over while expecting a different result. This time will be different, and I have control over this, are false statements and a sign of deep denial of the truth. Now is the time to let go of that thinking. Surrender your will, your life, your heart's desires, and all the pains you have to divine. Order will be restored in your world. The hungry ghost also brings understanding about the distractions of life that seduce you into forgetting what you really desire. They're asking you to become aware that what others want and what the culture dictates will make you happy may not be what's best for you. Don't get caught up in outside appearances. All that glitters may not be gold, at least not for you. Look beyond the veneer and you will find the true substance in your life. You deserve nothing less. Excuse me. Now, they were pretty adamant about, and by they, I mean Heavenly Father, the angels, just for short version, they, like, you're the only one that seems to be it's specific to the end of September, but there's something that you're not understanding about what came prior in September. Too much chocolate at the bottom of my coffee. I'm sorry. Oh man. And I want to apologize if I look angry at all or funny. I noticed on some of the videos when I was going back and watching a few, for whatever reason, I'm trying to get the lighting right on this, and when I said, like, every once in a while I pick a light that is almost way too bright, and then when I start messing it, I mess up my whole thing. This particular light is hurting my eyes. In fact, just so I don't look like an angry, crazy woman throughout this, I am going to apologize profusely and lower this one. Okay. I think I can stand it one more. So I want you to be able to see the cards. Just like it's hard with, I was being blinded. Alright, so they're going to have me use these, which, it's a new deck. I thought it was very interesting. Each of the cards has, different language, like the picture, of course, and then what the message is written in several different languages. So what I want to know is, what is it that the Cancers have been, okay, now I'm getting told that's not the right question. I was going to ask what the Cancers have been beating their head against the brick wall about. What have they been doing over and over? But apparently the lesson is the repetitiveness of your actions is not going to make a different result, and that's what that's what you've been learning, and it's going to be different for everybody. That will play out different for everyone. So what is the message that you have then, Heavenly Father? You're very specific about these cards. What was the message that you have for the end of September? Shuffle 3 times, and then we'll see what we get. Two just flew out. I don't know if we should take them or not. Okay, something aside this one. So I'm going to actually turn this down a little bit so you can see this as I'm doing. I think it's just going to go a little faster that way. Size. More fun this way. All right. So, what do you need us to know, Heavenly Father? What do you need the Cancer to know? I love coming in for the end of September. It's interesting. There's no way that you would know that this happens, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I was not, I don't know why, I just wasn't really keen on using these cards. I think because they're smaller. And I always like to play with a deck before I ever use it on video. I just want to make sure that it shuffles okay, that things aren't going to go flying all over the table, because I had that happen once. The deck was very new and crisp and it wasn't shuffling very well. And so I wasn't going to use this deck yet. I just got it. But I did take it out, and a card, this is the card that fell out, and I took it out as I was thinking about your reading. And when it came out, I was like, oh, well, I'm not doing a love reading. I'm doing Cancer's reading. And so I thought, I would put it away, and I started to put it away, and they're like, no, you're going to use that for a reading. And I said, okay. And so I set it aside, and I was thinking, oh, they're going to have me do a DMDF reading, twin flame reading, or they're going to have me, use it at some point at the end of the reading, and they just had me do it now, and this is the first card that picks up. So I would say this is not just a slim chance. There's going to be some love coming into your life. Now, I don't get the feeling that for everybody that is necessarily going to be in the terms of a significant other. And if you are already in a relationship, that doesn't mean that there's going to be somebody from outside the relationship. I believe that this is more like an expression of love that you didn't see coming. That's what I'm feeling. So if you're single, it could be somebody coming in for you. If you're in a relationship, or maybe you're single and you don't want to be in a relationship, but it can come in forms of children to their parents, parents to their children, best friends, significant others. But this is just something very heartwarming that's going to come in at the end of September, and kind of like an uplifting, just a little boost of energy. Okay. So, for those of you who are looking for love, who either are in a relationship and are looking for more attention from your spouse, or are single. Now, I'm going to clarify. I have some cognitive dissonance and stuff going on with when it comes to certain parts of my belief system where the M word is concerned. Having said it that way, I don't advocate going outside the marriage for something. So this is not, I'm not in any way picking up any kind of energy where if you're married, this is any energy other than your spouse. Okay, this feels very pure to me. Not to say that I can't pick up on that stuff in readings. I've done it before. And not to say that the people I picked up on, there's no judgment on my part in that. It's just a very different energy for me. Okay? And everyone's going to live their own life. But this is very pure. This energy feels very pure. And by pure, I mean no judgmental entanglements. Nothing that anyone would say anything about. It's what I'm talking about here. I'm not talking about from a moral standpoint. I'm talking about from an energetic standpoint, like the difference between clear, purified, pristine water, like core water, bottled water, or tap water in a city where it's kind of mucky. Okay, relationships that have entanglements, like, you know, people that are married that are having relationships with other people, that's an entanglement kind of thing. Third party situations, that's going to have an entanglement energy. This doesn't have that. It has a very pure straight line energy, like pure water. Okay, so we're talking about married people who are kind of sparking something for each other, paying more attention to each other. And for the single people who have been wishing for this is someone coming in that, I wouldn't say it's a full-fledged offer for the singles just yet, but this is definitely somebody with that potential. It is somebody who doesn't have any hang-ups. There's no baggage that's going to be a block. I mean, we all have baggage, but it's not going to be anything that is going to block harmony and block a pure connection. So it's somebody that is coming in, that it has maybe that's a better way to put it, that has the capacity to put their attention fully on you and to love you. Okay? What else do we have? Is there anything else that you want us to pay attention or to know, Heavenly Father, for Cancers for the last part of September, or even into the first week of October? Okay, so not from these cards. We are still going to look at these two that fell out. But first, I'm trying to pull these. There is an obstacle that they want you to be aware of. Some kind of challenge that's still coming up. I think what I'm picking up on is, whereas your last, or the energy that you're coming out of was this beating your head over a brick wall. I call it beating your head over a brick wall energy. Whether it's having a conversation with somebody and saying the same thing over and over and over, like your kid, pick up your toys, pick up your toys, pick up your toys, pick up your toys, and they're just not doing it. Well, once you change the dynamic and you say, Johnny, pick up your toys within 5 minutes because you now had all day, or I am taking the Xbox away for the same amount of time that you've wasted of my day. So that means you've wasted 8 hours with me having to come back in here and ask you over and over, and you not doing it. So you can lose your Xbox for 8 hours tomorrow, or whatever. I mean, every parent's going to be creative. I don't think I actually did the whole hour per hour thing, although I did consider it. And I did take away Xboxes. But my point is that you've learned to change things up a little bit. You're learning to not beat your head over the brick wall anymore, or as much. I do get the feeling that energy is still there a little bit, but you're kind of getting over that. And I think that it's been an energy for you for a little while, Cancers. And I think what we're getting ready to pull up, though, is what your challenge is going to be coming up here into October. So, okay. Now I'm going to look at the bottom of the deck before I cut it. Queen of Pentacles in reverse. So, Huh. Okay. There's a lesson about intentions. And it's funny because I just did a reading where this card popped up, and so I'm gonna have to go back and look at my videos. It's popped up in somebody else's reading, and the message with this card was very, very vastly different to me then. But I'm an intuitive reader. That's how it goes. What I'm seeing is it. I hope this is not any Cancer that is watching and in my collective. Because if it is, lessons for that can be hard. But, well, they're going to be hard either way for this one. This is about intentions. If it is someone doing to you, if it's someone that's kind of manipulating you, it's almost like a seductive energy. See, she's kind of holding out not just the pentacle. And turn her up right so you can see what I'm saying. She's not just holding out the pentacle. She's got a grip on it, but she's just kind of, it's just here. It's just here, this little temptation. It would be so easy to come and take this. She's also kind of pushing out her chest a little bit. She's exposing her throat. And by the way, that's kind of making her vulnerable, and I don't think she realizes that. I was drawn to the pure white flowers up here. White flowers for me represents friendship and purity. And unfortunately, I'm also drawn to, they're calling these daffodils. I don't think these are actually daffodils. They reminded me of daffodils. And as soon as it was said, daffodils remind me of a mother energy, but it's like I used to give my mother daffodils because she loved daffodils, and it was well, let's just say, without getting into my personal details, this for me has a very specific message about purity from the heart energy. And this whole thing coming out in reverse is telling me that the intentions of someone are not pure, whether that is you or somebody else, in your actions, or honorable. The intentions of your gifts are not pure. The offers that you're offering someone, whether or not they're being taken, are not honorable. Now, when I said you, hopefully this is not you in this energy doing this, but this is a lesson, a warning, so it still means it's in your energy. So this is either and look, even if you are, and I'm just going to put it out this way, we're all here to learn lessons. So at some point in our lifetimes, however many lifetimes we end up here, at some point we almost have to be the aggressor to understand how an aggressor is made. We almost, at some point in our life, we have to be a victim to understand the emotions of the victim. I didn't used to be a big believer in past lives, but the evidence is just, I won't say overwhelming to me yet, but it's mounting and mounting. And so let's go on the premises that there are multiple lives, in which case everything I've been taught about why we're here, it's just that much more solid, in that we live this life so that we can understand things and grow. Having said that, so if you have been manipulating, I'm not judging. I'm not saying, oh, okay, bad person. No, I hope you haven't been doing it, because it brings a lot of karma with it, right? Because it hurts other people, or can hurt other people. And believe it or not, it can backfire, and you can get hurt from it. If you have, then this is your opportunity from now until October 31st to get out of this energy very quickly and to turn these into uprights, which would mean that your gifts are of pure of heart. A gift, these gifts, when I gave them, were because I loved and appreciated my mom so much that I wanted her to see her smile. And I knew that of all the things I could give her, cards I could make her, whatever, of all the things I could give her, that she loved daffodils. This is a purity of the heart. This is like a wanting to express how much you appreciate and love somebody, right? In this energy, whether someone is doing it to you or you're doing it to someone else, it is about manipulation and control and wanting to be perceived as giving a very generous, amazing gift. Or it can be about, if you are giving a gift to someone, if you are giving someone something very loving and they perceive it as something that has, no, actually that's not with the daffodils. Not with the daffodils. No. This is unfortunately, this is in its opposite. It is strictly, I wanted to put such a nice spin on it for you, Cancers, but I can't. If you're in this energy, this is your opportunity to learn to turn this around. To learn to act with more integrity. To actually observe your past actions. The beating your head over the, and into the brick wall and doing the same things and not getting results. Ask yourself, are there areas in your life when you are guilty of, it drives me more mad when the people talk about manipulation, because we all manipulate to some degree. We manipulate ourselves when we get up in the morning. When we don't necessarily feel excited, but we intentionally say, I'm going to have a wonderful day, we're manipulating ourselves. Right? When we ask our kids to do something, parents have 100 ways of manipulating the child. It's just what way is going to do it in a way that's beneficial to them and not harmful. Positive reinforcements, potential negative repercussions for something that they might think of doing that's dangerous. Employees get manipulated with money, raises, promotions, praises. People manipulate their boss all the time by making themselves sound sicker than they are so they can take a day off. Maybe it really is necessary because they know if they go in, they're going to get worse. Or they're going to get everybody sick. But people do little manipulations like that all the time. This is a repetitive. This is someone who is stuck in that energy. I mean, they are just milking life for all it's worth kind of energy. And not, it isn't about a manipulation in the moment that's harming and nobody, right? We all smile at the mechanic and we all try to, even when we're not feeling great, even when we're not feeling it, and that's a manipulation too. That's a manipulation of yourself. And a small white lie to everybody else when they're asking you how you're doing, and you say fine, and you're smiling, and you're acting happy when you're not. But we all do that. It's a survival technique. Again, this is not that. This is manipulating with the intent to get stuff for yourself, usually unearned, oftentimes using seduction or guilt. Okay? Now, what God's telling me about this is that Cancers, you're going to be on one side or the other of this in October. So either you might find yourself slipping into manipulation habits that you're not proud of and that you don't want to do, in which case you can start actively catching yourself on it. Journaling is a really good way to do that when you're working on something you want to improve or change within yourself. Keeping a journal of your day. Being again that and sometimes we can pick up on, sometimes we can act in manipulative, get into that energy when we are being bombarded by someone else's energy. We may not even mean to, but it's a defense mechanism. We're like, whoa, hold up. And it does us, if that's the case, it does us a disservice, because as we're toning down something or changing our words in order to manipulate somebody into not being so angry or not yelling, we're usually doing it in a way that doesn't allow us to speak our truth or be who we really are. And so that's not helpful, and that's a boundaries issue as well. So there's going to be parts of those playing out. If you're in the energy where you're watching it from the other side of the coin, the flip side of the coin, because we have to learn both sides, right? If you're watching it from the other side of the coin, and don't feel bad, we've all done it at some point. Like anything I talk about that's negative, most of those things I can absolutely say that are your normal lessons. Most of them we've all done stuff. We've all yelled at people. We've all manipulated. We've all we try not to, right? Of course, but it happens. If you're on the other side of the coin, the reason I say that is not just for your benefit. If you're the one that was falling into that and you're trying to make the change, but also if someone else is doing it to you, so that you understand that they're all learning. We're all learning. We're all trying to get to better places, right? And sometimes in gently calling them out on that, or not responding to that manipulation, not giving into it, is a way to stop it. And it's going to be different for every single person. It's going to be different for every little thing. I mean, clearly, if someone is trying to pressure you or manipulate you into having sex when you don't want to, that's where you have to set hard lines, hard boundaries. No, right? And I'm not saying that's happening to anybody or you're doing it to anyone. I'm just actually, in that case, I was giving the most wild, improbable example that I could think of. Okay? Not, and that does happen, but it's usually, it happens to younger people. I hope that we're old enough now that we can say, no, thank you. I'm just not interested. Right? So, my point is that this can be a hard pill to swallow, because people, especially nowadays in our super hyper culture, about this mental problem, this mental problem, this. If someone does this, it's bad. If someone does this, it's bad. Manipulation is not a good, healthy thing to do, because it interrupts a positive, healthy conversational flow and positive, healthy relationships. Okay? But you should not judge yourself too harshly if this is an energy you're in. And if you can look at it as something, just a life lesson, if there is someone in your life that you trust, especially someone that you think you may have done that to, or someone that has told you you've done that to, and you can see that you did. I'm not saying, sometimes we get accused of things we didn't, haven't done. But if you see, okay, yes, this is something I need to work on, there's no shame in asking the person and saying, hey, look, if, I understand how you might feel this way. Maybe I was a little bit trying to get X, Y, and Z, it wasn't intentional, or it was, or whatever. Maybe you could warn me. All I'm saying is that if you can journal, be aware of your actions and other people's actions around you. Journaling will help for both sides of that coin. Recognizing it coming from others, or recognizing it coming from yourself. If you can learn this lesson very quickly between now and October, it will be a much better situation when this does come in. If this comes in from a significant other you're already with, It's going to be a much cleaner, sweeter, nicer experience. It's just going to amp it up 100 times when it's coming from the heart. If it's coming from someone new, you're more likely to attract somebody who is, well, you just don't want to attract somebody when you're in this energy. It's not a healthy place to be. You want to attract from a place where there is no manipulation, where there is, or nothing beyond the normal. I'm smiling and having a great day this morning because I said so. Self-manipulation for that in that way is great. It can work wonders because you can't actually change your mind. It's your mind to change. You have that right. You're not hurting anybody else. You're not interfering with anyone else's path. You are specifically keeping yourself to whatever path you choose to take, right? And just for the record, when the Queen of Pentacles comes into her upright, she is stable, she is beautiful, she is strong, she's independent. And this is going to be an energy for both, again, for the Cancers, for the masculine and feminine Cancers, male or female. But that is the energy around the Cancer in the upright. Strong, independent, beautiful, an absolute sight to behold. I'm hearing a little pampered. There's an angel up there laughing at a few Cancers have been giving some angels hell, I see, because you're getting the same kind of jokes I get when I give them hell. So, but actually, no, they're both giving you hell, and it's a good, like, they see it as a good thing. In the upright, this energy, when Cancers are in this energy, they are a little spoiled. They spoil themselves a little bit. They actually feel more spoiled in this energy when manipulation has not been involved than they do in this energy when manipulation or laziness or what's the other traits they're saying that they can catch a Cancer up emotionally. Those are the two primary when we're talking about the Queen of Pentacles. They might seem to spoil themselves, but emotionally, they will not feel spoiled. Because manipulation stems from a lack of I want to say a lack of self-worth, a lack of self-confidence. Because if you were completely confident, if you were in the upright, this woman knows herself. She might be holding herself out there, but she's only holding herself out for one person. She's sitting on her throne and she's good. Right? She's doing pretty darn good. But when it's in reverse, it's all the potential negative traits. The lack of strength, the lack of independence. So manipulation is coming from stems from a lack of confidence, a lack of surety in oneself that you are worthy of someone offering the very thing you want without you having to manipulate or use a guilt trip. Well, guilt trip is a manipulation. Without you having to seduce or to use guilt. So whoever, and if you're on the receiving end of this, someone else is doing that to you, they want you to remember that the reason that they do that is because of that lack of self-esteem. So be kind, be compassionate as you set your boundaries. But, if someone else is manipulating you, definitely you need to set your boundaries. If you're the one being manipulated, it's time to reflect on why you're doing that and work on yourself. Now, for these last two confirmation cards. Ooh. These are warnings. Okay, Cancers. These are specifically because you can't change anybody else. So if you're on the receiving end of this from someone else, and that's where you're learning this lesson, there's nothing you can do about this. Set your boundaries and try to keep your calm. If you are the one manipulating, okay, manipulating in the way that they're saying, they are taking it to that bad place where psychologists get really upset about it, okay? I just don't like when people misuse the word. But they're talking about extreme guilt trips. I mean intentional guilt trips. I'm not talking about where, and this is why I get upset, because I've been accused of it. And I actually think it's abusive and detrimental to the person you're doing it to, quite frankly. But if you've got two people and one of them is crying, like legitimately crying, there's somebody, and you'll know if it's legitimate. Person A just said something super mean, super biting to person B, or there was a trigger that person A knows about, and person B cries, either because of the mean thing said or because of this trigger, right? There's some kind of pain going on. If person A looks at person B and says, "You're manipulating," I think that's abusive. I think that's bullshit. We all are entitled to our genuine emotions. Now, if person B is crying, person A didn't say anything mean, and person B is intentionally, with thought, doing fake tears all the time, maybe you can look at that somewhere. But we're not talking about any kind of gray area, okay? We're talking about the kind of guilt trip where someone is doing it intentionally, where they're actually using their words and intentionally saying things like, "I'm so sick. I can't believe that you're leaving me here alone. I can't be by myself. I need you to be here with me. I need somebody here with me, like 24/7, in order to get somebody to stay when they have to go to work, in order to get someone not to leave them if they want to move on to other things." Okay? It's manipulating by getting angry. The minute that a conversation is had, that like someone goes to ask you a question, okay? And instead of saying something calmly like, I really don't want to talk about that, or, it's none of your business. Maybe the other person was being nosy. It's none of your business. I'm not trying to be harsh, but I just don't want to talk about it. Or, but doing it calmly. The difference is they start yelling, screaming, punishing for asking a question, because then that person won't ask a question again. And this can play out that's why I hate that when manipulation is even brought into stuff. It can play out in such a myriad of different ways. Kaleidoscope of different ways. I like that word better. Kaleidoscope of different ways. And only the manipulator is going to know if they're manipulating. Anybody else who's throwing that word around and saying someone's manipulating, they can't know, because you can't read somebody else's mind. You cannot be in their body. You can't be in their emotions. You can't be in their mind. So it drives me crazy when that word is thrown around. Okay? And again, if for anyone who's on the one side of the coin who feels like they're being manipulated, this warning really isn't pertaining to you anyway. Because there's nothing you can do to change somebody else. And like I said, it's really hard to tell whether or not they are. But knowing yourself and setting those boundaries for yourself, even if they don't go up right, you will. Just don't allow their manipulations to manipulate you. Right? Easier said than done, I'm sure, sometimes, but that's the fact of it. The warning is for those of you who are on the other side of the coin. If you're on the side of the coin where you have been manipulating, and I mean intentional manipulating, not the accidental, oh, I cried and somebody felt guilty, now I feel guilty. I mean intentional manipulating, right? The guilt tripping, the anger outburst, however it displays itself. If you've been doing that intentionally, there's a big push from the divine energies for you to get out of this from now. We've got till now until if you're on this wavelength, October 31st. But I think this has more to do with, rather than the collective that's on this wavelength, it actually feels more like an astrological energy, kind of even associated maybe to this Mercury retrograde, in terms of, it's not even karma. When you are manipulating in certain ways, in order to manipulate intentionally, the person has to say certain words. Well, if you're doing it over and over and over, if you're the one saying those things over and over and over, you're bringing that into your reality. That's why manipulation kicks the manipulator in their own ass. Because if you constantly are playing sick to manipulate, you're going to, and this is the warning, end up sick. Even if you were not that sick before and you were just milking something, if you are constantly playing sick, you're going to end up sick. For some cancers, this is multiple. This is across the board energy. And these are just examples. For those of you on that side of the coin, manipulative wise, you could end up very sick. For those of you doing angry outbursts, the warning for this is that level of anger causes physiological stress on the body. It can lead to strokes, heart attacks, high blood pressure. It is not good to be angry that much. And the body does not know between I'm playing, I'm manipulating somebody. Because in order for a manipulation to work, it has to be believable. And once it's that believable, your body does not know the difference between whether or not you were truly that way or not. It just gets stressed. You kick up the stress hormone in order to, make your voice sound angry, in order to do what you got to do. And the next thing you know, you're going to end up having other health problems. And that's the big warning right here, is that this has been going on in some of your lives long enough that the universe is saying, hey, stop. That we're going back to this beating your head against the brick wall. Like, if you had everything you wanted in your life, you wouldn't need to manipulate. And we get that. We do. But your experiment in your life with manipulation, you need to cut it out. It's come to an end. If it doesn't come to an end, this is what you're causing yourself. Major health issues are coming. And we're just trying to give you a heads up and say, hey, no judgment. We get it. It was an interesting lesson. It was an interesting sociological thing to watch. We got to watch the interaction of humans. We got to watch, what happened between you and other people around you dynamically, whichever side of the coin you're on. But if you were in the manipulator's coin, and this is for cross watchers too, by the way, because if you're a cross watcher, you're on this little pattern with them. So for whoever's doing the manipulating, that's why they're suggesting keep a journal so that you can write down what were the exact words that you used to manipulate. Because that's what you're going to have to combat for your health. That's what you need to be paying attention to and actively changing. before it comes down to this, before those words reach so far down into your subconscious mind that this has no choice but to manifest. Because this is not what you want to manifest in your life. You do not want to get this. Let me give it an example. They're giving me an example. So, and I know I've got an hour and 10 minutes, but this is really important for somebody. Let's say I'm getting the example of a woman. Let's say there's a woman who's sick, and she's always sick, and she's always sick, and she's always sick. Now, is she really that sick? I don't know. The husband doesn't know. The angels are saying, woman, heal thyself. Take care of thyself. And you will not be as sick. Now, hubby keeps going to work, though, because he's not sure how sick she really is. He's not sure, and he can't keep missing, he can't miss work all the time. Maybe he makes arrangements for a nurse to come in, or, for special things for the house, or whatever it is he does to accommodate her, right? But what she wants is his undivided attention. She wants him to actually take some time off to be with her. He doesn't feel like he can because he's because whatever big project's going on or something else is going on. But she wants like 2 weeks straight with him not going anywhere, not doing anything, just her all eyes on her. She keeps using illness as her manifesting tool. She is going to eventually become ill. And if she's doing it with the intent of getting his attention, she will probably have his attention when she is now so ill that they're either racking up hella racking up the medical bills, or she's literally at death's door. Well, then he'll be kneeling by her bedside. Then he'll be with her like every single second. Like, no problem. Here, this is what I'm saying. No problem. I've got you, honey. I'll take care of you. It's okay. But now, you've gone so far, you may not be able to recover from this. There are some things that healing is an amazing thing, and I have seen miraculous healings. I've been witness to them as I have been in my Reiki practice, and I am the recipient of one after my accident. But if she's manifesting for the attention, and she gets the attention through being sick, she's probably going to keep thinking of herself as sick. And if that vicious cycle keeps going on, she's going to end up not being here anymore. Okay? Let's take it to a man. Let's change that from a woman. Not that I'm saying you can reverse that. The man could be playing sick and the woman could be getting angry. But let's say every time something goes on, every time the woman comes towards him and she wants his attention and his time, he yells, he gets pissed or whatever. She wants a commitment. He says, no, I'm not committing. She wants to go on vacation. No, I'm not going on vacation. She wants hell. I don't know of anyone that's this petty, but because I can't think of anything else, we'll throw it out there. I want to go to XYZ restaurant for dinner. No, we're not going XYZ for dinner. I mean, I'm not yelling. I'm not going to do that to my voice or my neighbors. But you get the point. If every time he does it, he's yelling and he's screaming, two things are going to happen in that case. One, if she's going about it in an honest way, trying to spend time with him, and because he doesn't want to spend time with her, or clean the house, or whatever it is that she's asking, whatever it is that the kids are asking, whatever it is that someone's asking, if his response is always anger, he's going to increase his chances for stroke, heart attack, high blood pressure, again, health issues that he's going to have a hard time coming back from. And if it's one specific person that he's doing it to, there's a good chance that he's going to get his way. He's doing it to say no, to push them away, to teach them a lesson. Well, they may just go off over here and say, oh, I'll just go spend time with somebody else who wants to spend time with me. It just, again, there's so many ways that can play out. It's just one of those complicated, psychologically complicated issues. But the biggest warning is, especially from those two, they're really calling out the ones that are doing it in anger, the ones that are using guilt, and or sexuality. They're not really wanting to go as much into the sexuality. Heavy emphasis on the guilt and anger. Heavy emphasis on that, and the issues it will cause for health. Anyone that is using seduction as a manipulation tool, and that doesn't just mean sexual, that's any kind of writing situation. There's so many factors that play into that. The motive, the length of time for which it's done, did it interfere with somebody else's path or life? That's more of a karmic issue, and there will be karmic ties for somebody, unfortunately. And karma is not evil. Karma is not good or bad. Karma just means our lessons. There will be, as I said, just like Capricorn, Cancers here, it's not about calling out just the Cancers that are in the mode of being the manipulators, because there are many Cancers that are also being manipulated. But in terms of being manipulated, it's about just setting your boundaries and making sure that everything is okay. If you're being manipulated with any kind of sensual sex energy, just realize that could be pulling you off your path. You need to know yourself. Ask yourself, is this something I really should be doing? There could be repercussions, because someone who works like this, who trades sex for attention or for items or for whatever, you might not be the only one they've done that with. And this is not necessarily going to be the type of energy that's going to be comfortable having an upfront, have you used protection, how many people have you been with kind of energy. So there are inherent risks with all of that sort of stuff. But if it's being done to you, the warning is really more about just setting your boundaries, know yourself, be okay with yourself. If you think it's happening to you and you're not sure, you can, that's another good time to keep a journal of what was being said, and then you can kind of gauge, were they super frustrated? Were they maybe really angry about a whole bunch of other stuff? Maybe it had nothing to do with manipulation towards you. It was just they were having an explosive day altogether, and that's something totally different kind of energy. If you are in the mode, though, if you're on the side of the coin where you're learning this through the eyes of the manipulator, meaning that you're manipulating, it isn't about judging you. It's about warning that there are, in the energy field, there are Cancers who are at risk of some serious health issues, because in the course of their learning this lesson, in the course of their manipulating and learning this lesson, they have been subliminally setting themselves up for these health issues. So it's a very loving message. It's a very beautiful message. The takeaway from this is that the divine loves you very much. In as much as as the divine loves everybody, but they love you just as much. This isn't about calling you out and saying, oh bad. It's about, hey, sweetie, we love this lesson. We really do. And we so appreciate you allowing us to watch this sociological experiment and to learn about all of humanity from it. And we are so grateful that you took this very hard lesson, because we know that manipulators are not well liked sometimes, and you took it upon yourself to learn this lesson. And we know it's a tough one, and the things they had to go through to get there to learn about it. And we get all of that's really tough, but it's time now to wrap this lesson up before you get sick. And that is really the vibe I get. It is literally just like that, like a loving parent saying, we really appreciate the lesson, and we hope that that you're good with the lesson now too, because it's time to wrap it up and go on to bigger and better things without all of that, incoming or outgoing. I think this is the longest reading I did, but I understand why. That's a very important message. Clearly, nobody wants to be sick. Nobody wants to see someone that they love sick. So, if there's something simple that we can do to stop that, changing something, a behavior that we've learned from for a while and it's time to let go of, understanding why we might do these things or why someone else does them, then I'm all for that. Let's do what we can to get healthy and strong, and to have a wonderful life and a wonderful year for 2022. So thank you, Cancers, for teaching the world about that. Again, I agree with the angels. It is not an easy place to be, both in terms of the on the side of the coin of the manipulator, just because of the stigma that comes with that, and because of what you must have gone through in order to reach a point where you felt like you had to do that. And if you're on the side of the coin where it's being done to you, I've been there before, it happens. It's it's not an easy lesson to learn from either side. But the lessons that you learn once you get through that lesson will make you a much more compassionate, kind, caring, wonderful person. And that is really beautiful. So it's amazing that you're doing such a tough lesson. I'm very proud of you. Like I said, I would take their advice, keep a journal. Either way, if they're warning about this lesson and about health issues in your life, even if you don't think you're being manipulated or that you have been manipulating, it may be very subtle in your life. Again, I do believe we've learned lifetimes after lifetimes. If it's subtle in your life, if it's something very small, probably will not affect your health. It's not going to be anything you have to worry about. For those Cancers that are just now in this lesson and just now learning about this issue, just remember, journaling, it teaches us, reminds us what happens from day to day, allows us to look for patterns, and learning those patterns is how we grow. So have a beautiful rest of September. I'm sorry that this reading is so long. I swear people are gonna bookmark me and put me in the movie section and never watch me. No. Terrible, bad manifesting. Self-depreciating. See? Even I am still learning lessons. I think I'm going to write that one down somewhere. Let's end that on a good note. Here's something I got earlier. Actually, I was supposed to mention this for you, and it didn't make sense. Because we're not in your birthday month. I know your birthday just passed recently. I'm going to shut off, though, because your birthday wasn't that long ago, June 22nd to July 23rd. Got the message earlier, and so for some reason I felt like really strong that it was for Cancer. It just doesn't make sense to me. But for somebody out there, celebrate birthdays and holidays. Show the world that you appreciate life. Okay? And then right after that I got celebrate every day Actually, they said every day like it's your birthday, but I didn't have enough room. Celebrate every day like it's your birthday. Take nothing for granted. And if you know some of the really old theories about the beginning of God, if you know some of the quantum physics and scientific thoughts, they're just hypotheses, of course, on how the universe started. Nothingness, this would be equivalent to that black hole that all energy originally came from. So, but it is also the potential that everything is there. It's like another way of saying have perfect faith, because the potential for anything is there. You don't need more than that. Anyway, so celebrate every day. I will end it on that note. I'm going to start writing my own journal again. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.